Have you ever loved someone who only realized your worth after you stopped texting first? That was her. She was always there for years. She never said, "I love you," but it was obvious to anyone paying attention. She was the one who picked up when he called late at night. She remembered his favorite snacks, sent check-in texts before big days, made excuses to show up when he seemed off. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't loud. It was that quiet, constant kind of love that hides in the background because it's too scared to speak up. And he never noticed. Or maybe he noticed just enough to keep her close, but not enough to choose her. He'd talk to her about girls he liked, ask her why things didn't work out, tell her she was different, that she just got him. And every time he said, "I don't know what I'd do without you," she wanted to say, "Then stop looking past me." But she never did. She waited, hoped, thought maybe one day he'd turn around and realize it had always been her. But days turned to months. Months turned to years. And the same pattern kept playing out. He'd fall for someone else. It would fall apart, and she'd still be there, helping pick up the pieces. Until one day, without warning, something in her just stopped. She didn't text first, didn't ask how he was, didn't show up, and that's when he finally noticed. It wasn't dramatic. No big goodbye, no angry text, just silence. She stopped replying so fast, stopped asking how his day was, stopped being available the second he needed her. At first, he didn't notice. He thought she was just busy, figured she'd come back around, like always. But she didn't. And little by little, the absence got louder. No good morning texts, no late night talks, no one asking if he'd eaten or how the interview went. He opened his phone out of habit, half expecting her name to light up the screen. Nothing. That's when it hit him. She wasn't mad. She wasn't trying to get attention. She was done. He scrolled through old messages, realizing she had always carried the conversations, always the one to keep it going. He looked at all the time she showed up, all the ways she made space for him, and how rarely, if ever, he did the same. He used to think she'd always be there, that no matter how many times he overlooked her, she'd stick around, because she always had. But now, for the first time, he felt it, what it was like to miss her, to want her there and know she wasn't coming. And he started to wonder, how long had she loved him before she gave up trying? He started seeing her everywhere after she left. Not literally, but in the way your mind plays tricks on you when someone suddenly matters too much. A familiar laugh at the grocery store, a hoodie that looked like hers, songs on the radio that he never noticed before but now reminded him of her texts, her voice, her presence. He didn't just miss her. He missed what he didn't realize he had. He started remembering the little things, how she always asked about his mom, how she never forgot his job interviews, even the ones he didn't care about, how she'd call just to say, "I know today's probably nothing special, but I hope something good happens anyway." At the time, it felt normal, like air. You don't notice it until it's gone. Now he was noticing everything. He checked her social media more than he wanted to admit. She wasn't posting anything dramatic, just quiet moments, smiling with friends, out at dinner, living a life that no longer had a space for him. And he hated that. Not out of jealousy, but out of regret. Because the truth is, she had loved him in a way no one else ever had. Not for attention, not for show, just pure, steady, patient love. And he'd let it slip through his hands like it would always come back. But this time, it didn't. And that's when he finally started asking himself the question he never thought he'd have to. What if she was the one? People always assume the one who walks away is angry, that they slam the door, block your number, leave a mess behind. But she didn't. She just got quiet. She didn't make a scene, didn't try to hurt him. She just stopped giving energy to something that had already drained her for too long. No fights, no guilt trips. Just a calm kind of exit, the kind that only happens when someone's been hurting silently for years. And that's what shook him the most. He kept expecting a message, A final goodbye. Something. But it never came. And that silence, it said everything. It said, "I've said all I could without actually saying the words. You just weren't listening." She had loved him in 100 small ways, remembering details, making space, cheering him on when no one else did, and he hadn't even thanked her properly. Not really. He just assumed she'd always be there, that he had time. But time ran out. And while he was busy figuring out his life, she was figuring out how to let go. By the time he realized what she had been to him, she was already learning what life felt like without waiting for someone who wouldn't choose her back. And that's what hurt the most. She didn't leave to make a point. She left because she finally realized he never would. After she left, he started thinking about all the things he never said. Not the grand speeches or dramatic declarations, but the small, simple things. Like thank you. Like, you mean more to me than I let on. Like, I noticed. Because the truth is, he had noticed her. Maybe not in the way she needed, not at the right time, but he had. He noticed how she always smiled through her own exhaustion. How she celebrated his wins more than he did. How her eyes lit up when she talked about people she cared about, even when those people didn't give her the same energy in return. He noticed how easy it was to be around her. How her presence made everything feel less heavy. How her voice calmed him in ways he never really understood until it was gone. But instead of saying any of that, he kept it to himself. Maybe because he was scared. Maybe because he thought he had more time. Maybe because he didn't realize how rare someone like her was. Now he sat with the weight of silence. His silence. The kind that says, "You mattered, but I didn't say it when I should have." He wondered if it would have changed anything, if telling her what she meant would have made her stay. But deep down, he knew. She didn't need words anymore. She needed action. And he gave her too little, too late. It didn't happen overnight. She didn't wake up one morning suddenly over him. It took time, long, quiet time, to unlearn the way her heart used to lean toward his, to stop reaching for her phone when something reminded her of him, to let herself enjoy things without wondering if he'd ever notice her glow without him. She had to learn how to unlove someone she never really had, but gave so much of herself to. At first, it felt like grief. Grieving something that never became what she hoped it would. Grieving the version of herself that always waited for him, defended him, believed in the one day that never came. But slowly, her focus shifted. She started showing up for herself the way she used to show up for him. New habits, new friends, laughing at her own jokes instead of waiting for someone else to. She started saying no more often, taking up space, realizing that love shouldn't feel like proving your worth over and over again. And somewhere along the way, the weight started to lift. She stopped replaying their conversations, stopped wondering if he'd come back, stopped needing closure from someone who never gave her clarity to begin with. And the most freeing part? She didn't hate him. She just didn't need him anymore. He didn't expect it to hurt this much. At first, he thought the distance was temporary, that she just needed space, that eventually she'd come back around like always. But weeks turned into months, and she didn't. Then came the photos, a trip with friends, a new haircut, that kind of smile people wear when they finally put something behind them. He watched from a distance, never liked the posts, never reached out, but he saw everything, and it hit him harder than he expected. She was moving on, without him, and the worst part, she looked happier. Not the fake kind of happy people post to prove a point, but the quiet kind, peaceful, free, like someone who had finally let go of the weight they'd been carrying for too long. And somewhere deep in his chest, it stung. Have you ever loved someone who only realized your worth after you stopped texting first? That was her. She was always there for years. She never said, "I love you," but it was obvious to anyone paying attention. She was the one who picked up when he called late at night. She remembered his favorite snacks, sent check-in texts before big days, made excuses to show up when he seemed off. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't loud. It was that quiet, constant kind of love that hides in the background because it's too scared to speak up. And he never noticed. Or maybe he noticed just enough to keep her close, but not enough to choose her. He'd talk to her about girls he liked, ask her why things didn't work out, tell her she was different, that she just got him. And every time he said, "I don't know what I'd do without you," she wanted to say, "Then stop looking past me." But she never did. She waited, hoped, thought maybe one day he'd turn around and realize it had always been her. But days turned to months. Months turned to years. And the same pattern kept playing out. He'd fall for someone else. It would fall apart, and she'd still be there, helping pick up the pieces. Until one day, without warning, something in her just stopped. She didn't text first, didn't ask how he was, didn't show up, and that's when he finally noticed. It wasn't dramatic. No big goodbye, no angry text, just silence. But deep down, he knew he'd live with this quiet kind of regret forever. Not because she left, but because she waited, and he still didn't choose her. She doesn't replay the past like she used to. There was a time when everything reminded her of him. Songs, streets, inside jokes only she remembered. But now she walks through those same memories with peace instead of pain. Not because they didn't matter, but because she finally mattered more to herself. People ask her if she ever hears from him. She just smiles. She doesn't need to, because she knows he remembers. She knows he notices now. Her silence, her absence, the way she stopped orbiting around his world. And maybe that's enough. Not for her to go back, but for her to know he finally understood. She's not bitter. She's not holding a grudge. There's no anger left in her, only clarity. She loved him deeply, and that love shaped her, but it also taught her what she deserves. Not someone who gets it once she's gone. Someone who sees her while she's there and chooses her without hesitation. She hopes he's okay, truly, but she doesn't wonder if he's thinking about her anymore. Because now she's too busy thinking about herself, her peace, her joy, her future. And for the first time in a long time, it doesn't include waiting for someone to finally choose her. In the end, it wasn't about whether she loved him. She did, fully, deeply, in ways he never truly understood. But love isn't enough when it's one-sided. It's not enough when you're always the one reaching out, always waiting, always giving more than you get. Love needs to be met, not chased. It needs to be seen, felt, returned. She didn't walk away because she stopped loving him. She walked away because she finally started loving herself more. And him? He'll think about her from time to time, maybe forever. The way she looked at him when he wasn't paying attention, the way she showed up without being asked, the way she loved him without needing the spotlight, just hoping to be chosen. And when he lies awake at night wondering why she left, he'll realize she didn't leave all at once. She left every time he didn't choose her back. And by the time he finally did, she had already learned how to choose herself.